In October 2012, we interviewed a domain name investor named Warrick Mulder, who after years of registering and holding .com, .net, .org domains and earning next to nothing in parking revenue, changed his strategy to buy .co.za, COZA domains. He also changed his parking company and took his monthly revenue from $100 to $2,000 plus per month. We're going to talk to the CEO of that parking company today and see how they might be able to do the same for you. Stay tuned. 3 messages before today's show. First, if you're a domain name investor, don't you have unique legal needs that require domain name technical know-how and industry experience? That's why you need David Westlow of Wiley Rhine. Go search for David Westlow on Domain Sherpa, watch his interviews, and you can see for yourself that he is intelligent and articulate, can help you with buy-sell agreements, deal with website content issues and UDRP actions, and can even help you write your website terms and conditions. David Westlow is the lawyer to call for all your internet and intellectual property needs. See for yourself at newmediaip.com. Second, when you have questions about domain names, where should you go to ask them? The answer is dnforum.com. Not only is DN Forum the largest domain name forum in the world, but it's the best. You can learn about domain names in the industry, buy and sell domain names, talk about domain name news, and meet other domainers just like yourself. Register for a free DN Forum account and begin advancing your skills and knowledge today. And when you do sign up, send me a friend request so we can connect. My ID is Domain Sherpa. Finally, whenever I'm thinking of buying or selling a domain name, the very first place I go is estabat.com. Their service provides quick and comprehensive information about the valuation and the critical factors that you need to know about, like other extensions that are reserved, recent sales, search volume, and cost per click rates on search engines. And if you haven't tried their lead generator service for domains you want to sell, you're missing one of the most powerful tools around. Those are the reasons I pay for the service every month. Here's your program. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Seiger and I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, the website where you come to learn how to become a successful domain name investor or online entrepreneur directly from the experts. Past Domain Sherpa Warrick Mulder changed his parking company and took his monthly parking revenue from $100 to $2,000 plus per month. The parking company he changed to is named Parking Crew, and today we're joined by the CEO of ParkingCrew.com, Nico Zeifang. Nico, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Michael. It's great being in your show.
Thank you. How did I do on your name?
Pretty good. Not bad. I've heard worse.
Excellent. So first of all, thank you for accommodating us in the Pacific time zone here in Seattle. You're located in Munich, Germany, where I believe it's early evening for you.
Yeah, it's 7:30 over here, so
7:30. I thought it was 6:30. It's even later than I thought. Well, thanks for being on the show, Nico. So
no
a lot of domain investors would give their left pinky to be able to earn a couple $1,000s a month in parking revenue on their domain portfolio. Why do you think .co.za domain names are able to monetize so well using the ParkingCrew.com platform?
Well, I think there are a couple of different reasons. Our main philosophy at ParkingCrew.com was always to, scale through technology rather than having, an army of people doing manual optimization. So pretty much from day one, we set out to build a scalable system that has a self-learning algorithm where the technology does the majority of the work. And I think this has really paid off for ourselves because pretty much we have, managed to keep a very lean operation over here. We have less than 20 people working in our offices. We can keep overhead costs low. So I think that's one of the reasons, because ultimately overhead costs need to come out of the margin of the domain name owner. On the other hand, us operating out of Europe, out of Munich, Germany, our home turf is sort of the CCTLD market. So, we always understood that there's .com and there's the rest of the world. And it makes sense to make sure that you monetize every single visitor, no matter where he comes from. And I think that's what we're doing in, South Africa. We have made sure to adapt to, the certain circumstances in that market, to tune our templates, to tune our delivery technology to that market. And, it's great to hear that it's working out so well for some of our customers.
Yeah. So South African market served particularly well using parkingcrew.com, as Warrick mentioned. And I asked him how he knew that he would do so well on your platform. He's like, I didn't. Some other domain investors told me that they were doing well, and so I switched. Are there other CCTLDs that are able to monetize especially well using parkingcrew.com? Would you say that everything in Europe and Africa is particularly good because you focus so much on the CCTLDs, or?
Well, we don't really focus on CCTLDs. I mean, our single biggest market in terms of volume and revenues is the US, which is easy because it is a massive market, obviously. I mean, Germany is obviously our home market. It's where we have traditionally, been very active. So we understand that market very well. We understand the language. What always surprises me is a lot of people keep on telling us that we do very, very well in Japan for Japanese IDN domains, which keeps, continues to puzzle me because we don't have a single employee that speaks Japanese. The entire organization is done by the system. I've never understood a single word on one of our landing pages, but everybody tells us that we really do very well in that market. So I guess, it's always a bit of trial and error. I mean, anybody that tries out our parking company, I encourage them to try everything they have, and where we overperform, stay, where we underperform, move, because every parking company, works differently. So we're never going to win 100% of the traffic. I'm very confident we're never going to lose 100% of the traffic. So, we're glad to monetize where we do better.
Yeah. Do you hear from other domain name investors like Warrick that achieve this type of revenue improvement when switching to your platform?
I mean, this sounds amazing. It looks like he's had a 20 times increase, which is very unlikely, I think, to happen across an average portfolio. For Japanese, I've heard a couple of times that we do 3 to 4 times of what they did before. I think the usual upside that a lot of people see is that, on a certain percentage, like a third or a fourth of the names, we outperform by 20, 30%. So, that's a quite significant upside. Then on a lot of the traffic, we do about on par. We might be 5% better, 5% worse on some of the names. And then there are always some names where we do worse because, I don't know, our system might not be so suitable for that sort of domain name. We might deem that, that traffic to be of less quality than the other traffic, so it might get a bit more smart priced. Some of the other parking companies out there traditionally estimate earnings, which we do not do. We pass on what a domain name actually made. So, some of the estimation of other parking companies might have been off, while we simply pass on what we get paid for the domain. I mean, there are various factors to factor in. So it's really hard to say what a portfolio is going to do.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a step backwards. I realize we haven't even talked about really what parkingcrew.com does. Wayne Nelson, our producer, has done some research on you and your company. The parent company is teaminternet.de, and you provide 2 main products, parkingcrew.com for parking domain names, and DNTX, which stands for Direct Navigation Traffic Exchange, where you actually sell click-through traffic from those domains instead of showing ads on the domain names using a park page. You actually just pass it through to somebody who wants to buy that traffic. I want to ask you about both in more detail, but first, when was teaminternet.de founded and by whom?
I probably have to start a bit earlier to give you the entire history about the people involved. Talking about me personally, I started out in domains in about 2000 or 2001. I focused mainly on .coms and the German-speaking market, so Austria, Switzerland, Germany in the beginning. And roughly about the same time, one of my co-founders over here, Stefan, we got started out in domain names. It wasn't until probably 2003 or 2004 when we met in person for the first time, which was at the Beer Fest in Munich. So
of course.
It's a good occasion to get to know each other. And we've been very good friends ever since. And in about 2007, we started to pool our domain-related investments because we figured it makes sense to get a second opinion on an investment. It makes sense to, have the buying power of two parties. So we were acquiring a lot of domains and domain portfolios together starting in 2007. Then in early 2010, in January.
Hey, let me pause the story right there, Nico. So when, I think a lot of domain investors get to be in that situation as well. They will ping other people via Skype or Google Chat, and they'll say, hey, what do you think about this domain? I'm thinking about buying it. But when you spend 5 figures on a domain, you want a second opinion. So you were doing that with Stefan and discussing them. Why would you decide that you'd actually want to pool your resources and buy together? Doesn't that create a lot of complexity if you like a certain type of domain and he doesn't, or you want to sell and he wants to hold?
It really depends. I mean, we sort of had like a handshake agreement that any offer either him or me got, we would run through the other party first and see if we want to do it jointly. If one party said, no, I don't feel it's the right investment, the other party could still, buy it individually. And I think this has paid off very well. I mean, I've skipped on some investments where Stefan has made a pretty decent return. So good for him. I mean, the same way the other way around. We've done some investments together that didn't go so well, but overall, I think it was really the right decision to, get a second opinion and start pooling forces on.
So if you guys decide, hey, I've got this opportunity for a $50,000 domain, let's go in 50-50. You put in 25K, I'll put in 25K, we'll buy it. Do you typically hold on to those domains and then sell them later after some period of time, or are you looking for a quick flip?
We don't really do much flipping. I mean, usually we buy to hold and monetize. That's the main reason we buy for nowadays. Obviously, all of our names are for sale if the price that's offered is right.
Sure.
So, but we're not really, buying and speculating. For us, it's more about making the return from monetizing the existing traffic on domains.
And then let's say you buy a domain for $10,000 and it's making $500 a month in monetization. Every month, do you just split the profits of that domain?
That's how we sort of used to do it back then. But in January 2010, we set up our own holding company where we put all of those assets into. It's called Rainmaker Investments, and that's where nowadays all of our investments are pooled. The majority of the revenue stays in the company and is reinvested. Only a bit of the revenues we take out of the company to our individual companies behind it.
You said it was called Rainmaker Investments? I
Exactly.
like that. I like that name. Okay, so you put your holdings that you had together into Rainmaker Investments, and then I assume that you were using some other monetization platform at the time, Cedo, something like that? Exactly.
I mean, that was the main reason how Team Internet was founded. We had been monetizing domain names for more than 10 years each, and the more time went on, the more frustrated Stefan and me individually became with the solutions out there. We thought that technology was outdated, overheads were too high, domain revenues were increasing until 2007, and then they started to tank. So we were very unhappy about that, and that's about the time when Team Internet was sort of formed in our minds. Our slogan is "Ideas change markets," which is what we wanted to do. The main problem was neither Stefan nor I am a tech person, so we obviously needed somebody to take care of that very important aspect. And that was when Mario Witte, our third co-founder, entered the scene. We recruited him from one of Europe's biggest affiliate agencies called Nonstop Consulting. And in April 2010, we started Team Internet.
So clearly you and Stefan were making some money through monetization. Some could say it was the good old days when everything was increasing. But then in 2007, it wasn't increasing anymore. How were you able to convince Mario, who is your CTO, Chief Technology Officer, to leave a good-paying job at another company and in an area where revenue was still growing, relatively speaking, affiliate marketing, and come over to Team Internet where revenue might not have been growing anymore?
In the end, it was a lot of red wine. Yes, Stefan and Mario had known each other for a long time. Stefan was doing an internship at Mario's old company, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or so. So they'd known each other for a long time, and Stefan had been trying to convince Mario to, join forces for about 3 years. When we finally got Mario to come on board, we made sure, like, we showed him some numbers. We're like, okay, we have this big owned and operated portfolio. We're more than able to pay your salary. Stefan and me don't need to take a salary right from the start. So, you're going to be safe in terms of salary, and the upside you can potentially achieve is much, much bigger. But yeah, it took some time. I mean, Mario is a very security-loving person, but I think he's never regretted this step.
All right, so I think a lot of domain name investors have some great domain names, and they're not making as much money as they used to, and they're looking to develop some sort of technology. Either they want to develop a website and build it out and sell leads or sell advertising or something. Like, they have a great portfolio. So what advice would you give to one of them who were like you in 2007? You had an income, some great assets, and you needed somebody on a technology side to join you. Clearly, you plied him with a lot of red wine. You gave him a salary that was pretty much commensurate with what he was making at his previous position.
Yeah, he got a bit of a hike at
a little bit of a hike. Yeah. And then, what else would you say is necessary to convince a technologist to join your team?
I mean, he obviously has a lot of equity. We're equal partners in Team Internet, which is important, I think, because in the end, technology is the value we are creating here at Team Internet or at Parking Crew. And ultimately, I think it's, it is a people's business. I mean, the chemistry needs to be right between the founders. The vision needs to be the same. I think responsibilities need to sort of be very clear, so that everybody knows what he is doing and sort of has the final word on that certain area, even though everybody else can, give them input. Right. I would never tell Mario, like, this is the wrong technology we're using, because I simply don't know better. So, yeah, I think in the end, chemistry between the people is really the most important part, because, I mean, over here we've been sharing an office ever since the beginning. The three of us sit in the same office. We've had a lot of very intense moments, but I don't think we have had a single serious argument, which is very important.
Wow, that is surprising. All right, so you convinced Mario to come aboard, giving him a salary and giving him equity. Now, was this equity in part of the owned and operated portfolio, or was it equity in the technology base that he was shepherding, developing, architecting?
Originally, it was equity in Team Internet. So the original shareholder structure was Mario in Team Internet and Rainmaker Investments as a shareholder in Team Internet. The more Team Internet became to be a substantial source of revenue, the more we wanted to have Mario also be part of our joint domain name holdings. So by now he is part of Rainmaker Investments, and he used his Team Internet shares, brought them into Rainmaker Investments, and now he's a shareholder in the parent company.
So now you've got him locked in so well that he can never leave.
Let's hope so. That's the plan.
All right, let's pick up the story again. Then, so in 2010, you started this holding company. 2007, you were pooling domain names with Stefan. In 2010, you decided to create the legal holding company, Rainmaker Investments. And then right after that, you brought on Mario to work on the technology. Is that correct?
Exactly. And when Mario came on board, Team Internet was founded, which was in April 2010.
Okay, April 2010. So how long between when Mario came on board in April 2010 and you launched your first product?
ParkingCrew.com was our first major product. We've had a lot of little products, trial and error, seeing what works, what doesn't work. ParkingCrew.com was launched in May 2011. It wasn't really a public launch. We only launched on our owned and operated portfolio that Rainmaker Investments holds, on some portfolios that Rainmaker Investments was a partner in. And we also had a couple of good friends from the industry that we allowed onto the platform right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then until about September last year, we were just fine-tuning on the system, finding bugs, finding ways to substantially increase yield. And we opened to the public in September last year, and it's been a crazy year. I mean, we have seen tremendous growth. We've had our ups and downs. We've had a lot of great experiences. We've had like a little emergency every week, so it's been a lot of fun.
It's never a dull moment to operate a technology company. I know that. So basically, Mario spent a full year working on the technology platform until you went to beta launch with your own owned and operated portfolio. That takes a lot of foresight and commitment on yours and Stefan's part to say, we're going to put in the time and effort, a full year to develop this. Did you have other expenses besides Mario's salary to pay? Did you have other developers underneath Mario, a designer, somebody that does the user interface, things like that?
A couple of. It was just growing organically. I think until the launch of Parking Crew, we were maybe 6 or 7 people in the company. Pretty much, except for Stefan and me, everybody was in tech, so it was all on the tech or design side of the business. But if you have an owned and operated portfolio, it's not that bad because it can pay for those salaries. So for us, we were very sure this was going to work out. So it was an investment we were very happy to make.
Yep.
We haven't regretted it ever since.
So how the question begs the question: how many domains do you own that you're able to pay Stefan's full salary and 3 other people's salary to do the development from a technology standpoint?
Nowadays, I think we have about 60,000 domain names that either belong to Rainmaker Investments or where we are a substantial or a partner in the portfolio. Mm-hmm. In peak times, I think it was about 100,000 in 2007, 2008.
Wow.
Trimmed down quite a bit when the market tanked because a lot of them weren't paying for themselves anymore. So we decided to just get rid of them. So it's a long-tail portfolio that we have acquired over like a 10-year period of time. In the beginning, Stefan and me independently, and later on jointly. So there's a bit of history to the portfolio.
Yeah. So you had 100,000 at the peak. You decided to trim it. When you trimmed it, did you sell the domains or did you just let them drop?
We sold a few of them, but the majority we just let expire. Yeah. We had certain metrics which were like sort of, if they don't at least make half the renewal fee, we drop them. Then the ones that made half the renewal fee, we put a fixed price on them. If they didn't sell in the next renewal period, we dropped them as well. Mm. And I think nowadays probably like 95% of our portfolio at least pays for the renewal fees.
Yeah, great.
So
okay, so 60,000 domains. Paying for the renewal fee and clearly making enough profit to pay for a tech team of essentially 4.
Yeah, back then it was like 4 or 5. Nowadays there are a lot more people in the company, especially in tech. I think we're 16 now. Out of them, 12 are in tech, so it's very tech heavy. Mario has to oversee most of the people. But it was about 60,000 names back then. We were paying for all the overheads and for the initial development.
All right, so parkingcrew.com, it is a parking company. If people will have domain names and they don't want to develop them, or they have so many that development is not an option because it's not scalable, they can sign up with you guys. They can point their DNS, domain name servers, at your servers, and you will display ads based on the keywords that are in the domain name.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a platform for publishers, for domain name owners, where we give them the opportunity to participate in the technology we have developed, in the advertiser relationships we have it over the years. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more than just keywords that goes into what we display. I mean, the geo is part of the targeting. Then are you using a mobile? Are you using a tablet? Are you using a desktop? Which browser are you using? Which sites did you previously visit? Have you just been on a public domain before? Have you been on the same domain before? Didn't click? I mean, a lot of complex factors in there. It's sort of hard to keep track of what all goes into the algorithm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that go into your algorithm that determine what will be served to the visitor when they visit a domain name that's parked using your system.
Exactly.
Understood. All right, and you also operate an advertising platform, which I mentioned earlier, called DNTX.com, which stands for Direct Navigation Traffic Exchange. What exactly does that do?
I probably have to stay on the parking crew side of the business for a second to explain how it comes into the picture.
Okay.
I mean, basically, if you have a domain name portfolio, you will notice that some of your domains have very high CPCs and other domains might have very, very low CPCs. Essentially, what happens a lot of the times is that the high CPCs come from a tier 1 upstream feed provider, which basically is one of the 3 big search engines out there that have a big ad inventory, a lot of ad coverage, a lot of advertiser competition, so the click prices are quite high in an auction system. While some of those domains see tier 2 ads, so the tier 1 ad networks have decided that the traffic quality coming from certain domain names does not fit their requirements, and they don't want to expose their advertisers to that traffic. It's what we call tier 2 traffic because it has no chance of getting exposed to tier 1 ad inventory. And what we have learned in the past year is that a lot of the times the click price differential between tier 2 and tier 1 on the same domain name, when it gets blocked from tier 1 and is substituted by tier 2, might be a factor of 50. And we just couldn't believe that the traffic is that much worse that it should only be earning like 2% of what it was doing before. So we looked into the tier 2 ad networks, into the coverage they had, into the click prices they had, and we decided this doesn't really represent the traffic quality that we're delivering. And that's when we came up with the idea of DNTX, which basically is our ad network where advertisers can bid into this tier 2 domain traffic from Parking Crew that our tier 1 providers do not want to monetize for certain reasons.
Got it. So what would be an example of, I'm not even sure I'm sure you have an example. Maybe it's one of your owned and operated domains that you can mention, so you're not mentioning any customers. What's a domain name that has traffic that a tier 1 provider like Google, let's say, wouldn't want to show ads for, that is still perfectly monetizable in another fashion?
One example would be bodybuilding.info. It's one of our owned and operated, so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't receive a lot of traffic, but the traffic it received apparently was of bad quality. So at some point it got fail listed by our tier 1 provider. And nowadays it's sold through DNTX. I don't know if it's still the case, but last time I checked, it was going to a nutritional supplement store. They were bidding on the keyword bodybuilding in DNTX. So I assume it's converting for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying that traffic. And ever since we opened DNTX, we have seen that the tier 2 domains have really gone up in terms of revenues.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Okay, so I understand the tier 1 from the big search engines. I understand the tier 2 traffic. It has some traffic, but for whatever reason, the tier 1s have decided that it's not good enough for them. So you started this exchange. It makes perfect sense. How do companies who want traffic and don't want to buy Google AdWords, let's say, how do they know to come to DNTX and buy traffic from you?
Well, we're just starting out establishing our brand, so hopefully at some point it will be sort of a household name. Right now we focus mostly on affiliates. We launched DNTX during Affiliate Summit East in New York City in August this year. We've just this week completed the acquisition of Elephant Traffic, which was another player in this market. So this will, give us exposure to more than 10,000 advertisers they already had on their system. Ultimately, I don't think we will see the Fortune 500 companies like, I don't know, Chrysler or, one of those household brands buying traffic from DNTX, because the volume of traffic they could potentially buy is just not big enough to, empty the ad budgets that they need to empty in a certain period. So they will always go to the big search engines to, spend 50 or 100K a day, because there's simply not enough volume on DNTX to spend 100K on car-related traffic every day.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think DNTX will become as a performance-driven network where people looking for traffic that performs, that they can generate sales from, that they can generate email leads from, that they can generate newsletter sign-up, stuff like that from. That's the sort of advertisers we're looking for. That's the sort of advertisers we have acquired at Affiliate Summit. That's the sort of advertisers that Elephant Traffic had. And if you have an auction system, all it takes is two advertisers competing for the same sort of traffic, and you will get very close to the actual value of that single visitor.
Okay, so let's say, excuse me, and I want to come back and talk about Elephant Traffic acquisition that just happened last week, because I went to your website and I saw that you just concluded that transaction. So we'll come back to that. But let's say that I, as a publisher, want to get more traffic to domainsherpa.com, and so I want to go on to DNTX. I want to buy the phrase domain name parking, and I want to drive anybody who buys that or who is using their domain names in your system. I want to buy their traffic and send them to your video so they can watch this and get educated. That if nobody else is buying that phrase, how much would I, as a publisher, expect to pay?
It depends a bit. We have two sorts of campaigns in DNTX. We have keyword-based campaigns, which is what you're looking at. And we do have run-of-network campaigns where you can say, I want to buy all traffic from the United States, because let's say I'm promoting Groupon, which tends to work across all sorts of traffic, because you can geo-target and you can be like, dear visitor from Minnesota, here's your Minnesota voucher or whatever for the day.
Right.
So in the end, as soon as you have a run-of-network campaign, that's pretty much setting the base bid for any keyword campaign. But bidding starts at 0.2 cents per visitor. That's the minimum you can bid. And then it just goes on depending on the competition for your keyword, as well as the competition for the run-of-network traffic, which always sets a base bid for every single country.
Sure. And if I go to your system and I sign up and I type in domain name parking, it'll tell me what I need to pay in order to get traffic? And
roughly. It will give you an estimate of how much traffic we have available based on the past couple of days. And it will give you a suggested bid price, which is the bid price that was high enough to win the majority of the traffic in the past couple of days. There will have always been the occasional $2 bid that only bid for 3 visitors and then was paused or hit a cap. So it will give you a good estimation. It's a proxy bid system, so you can bid as high as you want, and you will never pay more than the second highest bidder plus 10%.
Right.
So no matter how high you go, unless you have somebody else bidding extremely high, you won't pay that price per click or that price per redirect.
So how do I know that I'm actually getting traffic related to domain name parking, and I'm not getting, the high CPC for domain name registration and all that related to domain names? How can I ensure that, 0.2 cents a visitor is dirt cheap? I'd pay for that every day, but I want to make sure that they're targeted on the phrases that I'm looking for.
Definitely. I mean, we have at DNTX, we have two sorts of systems. We have an automated tagging system that automatically takes the domain name apart, figures out what it's all about, and assigns keywords to it in the system. Then we have a system that gives us reports of all domain names in the past couple of days that had a lot of traffic but that do not seem to sell. So the assumption is that either they have incorrect tags or incorrect keywords, or they don't have a keyword at all. Since we don't want to have overheads for that again, we don't want to have 15 people sitting here doing it. We use a sort of mechanical Turk solution. I don't know if you're familiar, like Amazon, for example, offers such a solution where you pay people based on tasks they complete. We have set a pretty high cutoff, where it's still profitable to have people do that manual work. If the traffic threshold is too low, we won't have people doing it, and we'll just take the collateral of not having that single domain name tagged, because it wouldn't be profitable in that case. So I think overall the keyword tagging works very well.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I just interviewed Victor Pitts from above.com. Above.com is one of your partners I saw on your website. So if I go to above.com, they will actually rotate my domains. If I park my domains with above.com, they'll rotate them through different providers like parking.com. They're not a parking provider themselves. And they'll determine which domain names do the best monetization at which providers. So they may determine, for example, that Japanese CCTLDs do better at Parking Crew, or South African TLDs may do better, and leave those at your site. And so that seems like it's a pretty good partnership to have.
Definitely. I mean, we're seeing a lot of traffic from above. Some of my guys during the traffic conference talked to David and Ren, and they said we have done a tremendous job given the amount of traffic. We are already winning. Considering that we have just been around for a year, that a lot of people don't have the brand awareness, so they haven't added us to their rotation yet, which I would encourage everybody to do. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have another provider in there that might be winning 20, 30, 40, 50% of your traffic, and performing better on that traffic. So yeah, it's a very important source of traffic for us, obviously.
Yeah. And I also learned that they have a direct navigation platform similar to DNTX, which I wasn't aware of either. So it seems like, both you and Above are monetizing through this direct navigation for maybe the domains that don't necessarily park well or only get tier 2 traffic. What do you look at as the differentiation between your direct navigation opportunity and above.com's, let's say?
I mean, there are two main differences. DNTX strictly only monetizes the tier 2 traffic, because our tier 1 traffic is monetized with our pay-per-click upstream feed provider, our tier 1 upstream feed provider, while Above does the rotation before it goes to a parking company. So they are selling before, while we are sort of selling after. Mm-hmm. I think what sets us apart from other, and there's not just Above, there are a lot of networks selling tier 2 traffic, is that we offer a lot of targeting options. And I think this is really what we were missing at other platforms, and what seriously harms your price. I mean, if you take an example, if you're let's say you have a travel-related website in the United Kingdom, mm-hmm. and you want to buy cheap flights. So you're going to go to the different systems and you're going to target the keyword cheap flights. Since you operate in the United Kingdom, you can only monetize UK traffic. If you get a US visitor for cheap flights, you're not going to be able to sell them a flight because you only have a license in the UK or whatever. Mm-hmm. So this is the first crucial targeting option in my opinion. You need to give people the opportunity to target by country, because otherwise, if they buy 100 visitors and only 10 of them are from the UK, they could have paid much more for those 10 UK visitors had they been able to target for them, right. Which is the first targeting option that we offer. Then we allow people, you can differentiate between mobile, tablet, desktop. If you go to mobile, you can target different carriers. You can say, I only want AT&T traffic from the US. Mm-hmm. Even more, you can do device targeting. So you can say, I only want iPhone users from AT&T US searching for the keyword ringtones. I mean, it's going to help you because, billing on an iPhone might work different from an Android. Billing on AT&T might work different from, Verizon or whatever you guys have over there. Options you give people, the more granular they can go, the more they can pay for that single visitor, because the more value it creates for them, and the more it's ultimately going to, push prices for that inventory. So I think this is what really sets us apart. We are the first tier 2 ad network that actually allows you to target like it's a tier 1 ad network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. All right, so I understand the difference there. how you are basically eating your own dog food. You are, as the saying goes, you are developing the system because you have your owned and operated portfolio, and you want it to be able to target on a very specific basis these phrases. Can I, when I sign up for your service, Nico, and I have a domain name, it automatically goes into your tier 1 system, but then one of the providers may say, we don't want that domain name. So then you just automatically move it to tier 2. Is that the way it works?
Exactly. I mean, as soon as we send a request to our tier 1 provider and we get basically in non-technical terms, no, we don't have ads, immediately we will query some tier 2 networks to, from the first visitor, have some listings on there.
Yep.
And the next visitor is already going to query the NTX and see if we have a direct advertiser that's not just going to pay per click, but also pay per redirect. So you get forwarded right away.
Gotcha. And then you have advertisers that come in, advertisers that come in and they want just run of site traffic. They'll take all the traffic because it's a general, I'll take all the traffic in the US because Cyber Monday is coming up and we have sales, or Groupon, we're expanding throughout the world and we want every single visitor that you can deliver.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Wayne Nelson did a pre-interview with you, as you're aware, a producer, and he said that you're always adding value to the business through technology enhancements and constant innovation. What is an example of the last enhancement or innovative offering that you've added to your service?
Well, we do have a pretty big enhancement coming up in the upcoming months, but before it's ready and fully tested, I don't want to talk too much about it. I mean, a lot of the stuff is really small and tiny iterations. I mean, you find a 2% leverage there, you find a 2% leverage there, you find another 2% there, and it just keeps on adding up. It might be, it might be a small tweaking in one market, it might be a tweaking for some device. And I think what's the main advantage we have, given our owned and operated portfolio? We can test whatever we want. It's not going to affect the customer. Anything we add to the platform, we test on our owned and operated portfolio. If it results in positive yield, we roll it out for everybody. If it doesn't, it goes back into development. So I mean, it's, we have 14 people or 13 or 14 developers pretty much working on the system all day long. They tweak the algorithm, they try new things. Some of them work great, some of them only work on a subset of their owned and operated portfolio. Some of them are horrible, they just never make it onto the entire system. It's a constant trial and error, and I'm always surprised, like at the beginning, our developers showed me, so we're going to run a test, this against this. What do you think is going to win? I was like, this one always won. I was always won. So, we've very quickly moved to let the visitor to a park domain decide what he wants rather than telling him what he should want.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like Team Internet and your offerings have been profitable since the beginning because of this owned and operated portfolio.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, given the owned and operated portfolio, we can still pay like just salaries and overheads from the owned and operated. And it has been like that from day one. So we were in a very comfortable position. We didn't need the margin. We didn't need to cut down on technology or cut down on development because we had the cash flow to, sustain the growth.
Yeah. Now, if you put your domains, you and Stefan put your domains into this portfolio, and you were using the revenue from that portfolio to fund the development of your company, what did you and Stefan live off of for the past, for that first year or two until you got everything up and running?
We still had some domain portfolios that were not, that we didn't acquire jointly, that we acquired prior, and that wasn't part of the Rainmaker deal. So both of us had revenues coming from there. Both of us hold quite a few very nice generic domain names where, you sell the occasional one to an end user at a high price. So, and then, like Stefan is 30, I'm 29. We went to college while we were building our domain business. So we didn't really have a lavish lifestyle to support. I mean, makes things easier too. I mean, Munich is expensive, but it could be worse.
All right. So you had some great domain names on your own. What are some of your favorite domain names? What's your best generic?
I sold most of my best, like my personal best generics way too cheap a long time ago.
Did you? What did you sell in the past that you wished you hadn't sold back then?
Kevin Ham, this one goes out to you. NY.org, NYC.org were two of my really nice names back when I was like 21 or 22, and I sold them for 10K each.
Oh. And you sold them to Kevin.
Yeah, I sold them to a broker, but ultimately they went to Kevin. So,
yeah.
I don't look back and regret it because back then it was money that I wisely reinvested. So, ultimately there's always a trade-off between money you have in the hand and, an asset. I mean, today I would value them much, much higher, but back then I used the money to buy some other great ones. Nowadays, like the really nice ones we like a lot that we still own are mostly in the German-speaking market, so they wouldn't mean much to your listeners. One of them we have developed out. We own boxen.de, which is German for boxing. It's the biggest news site in the German-speaking market. It's actually the only real developed site that we run. We run it as its own business. It has its own editors. It has its own staff, so to speak of, to run it. And it's a profitable business. I mean,
nice.
And we're the leader in that.
And how do you spell that domain? BOX?
EN.
EN.de.
Exactly.
Okay. And so that's the only one that you have developed out. It's a profitable business. But neither you or Mario or Stefan have any publishing experience. Did you just, again, make another investment in it? You hired people who knew what they were doing and...
That was actually pretty much an experiment. I mean, we've had that domain for quite some time, and when we actually launched it as a sort of developed site, it was before Team Internet and before Parking Crew, and basically we just put a simple WordPress blog out on it, and I think it was actually Stefan and me just writing a bit of content. We didn't understand the market, so we were just reading up. We just published a bit of content, and it was back when Google still valued keyword domains very highly in its search results. And I think like a week after we launched, one of the Klitschko brothers had a big heavyweight fight, and the site skyrocketed from like 100 visitors a day to like 35,000 a day on the weekend when the fight was on. So we were like, okay, this is great. I mean, 35,000 visitors looking to find information about the fight. We had gotten like 400 or 500 comments in user-generated content on the site that weekend. So we were like, okay, let's find somebody that actually understands the market, that a bit more qualified content than the two of us. And that's how it started. And nowadays it's amazing. I mean, the average article we have on there is like half a page. And then on average, it attracts like 30 or 40 comments. So there's a lot more user-generated content than content we actually produce and pay for.
Yeah.
And basically our main source of income there is we have a ticket alert newsletter where people sign up. And as soon as tickets become available, we mail it out. We take the commission on ticket sales. And that's great. I mean, we sell more than €1 million worth of tickets a year from it. And yeah, that's pretty much how it pays for itself.
Wow, that's amazing. So it wasn't Google AdWords or display ads or a partnership with the boxing company, which as a publisher, I would have, thought that's definitely how you're making money. It is a ticket alert newsletter, an email newsletter that goes out to people who opt in to this email newsletter list on your website, and you just use a commission. You say, upcoming fight, get your tickets now. Here's where it's happening. Here's the description. Here's why you need to attend. Click here to buy now. And it goes through to a third-party site, and you get a commission from it.
Exactly.
And it generates more than €1 million in sales per year.
It's a pretty great business because those boxing fights, they sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Tickets usually are like a couple of $100s. You don't go there alone. You order tickets for you and like 5 buddies of yours.
Oh yeah,
so,
people are spending a good few €100 just to attend a fight.
Exactly, and a lot of times, I mean, we get a lot of information from the ticket site that we promote, and a lot of times the average shopping basket is like a couple of $100, sometimes well into the thousands of dollars, because people just buy 10 tickets for them and their buddies. They want to sit right next to the ring. They pay $1,500 a seat. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. So that is your number one revenue producer on that website. Do you also have advertising on that site?
A little bit. I mean, we have a little bit of Google AdWords on the site. We occasionally have people sending us inquiries about like, can they place some display ads in the header or on the sidebar? We do sell them, but we only sell them if we can like get at least a 3-month commitment at the rate we think is fair, because otherwise we don't want to ruin the experience for visitors, for our readers. So
yeah, definitely.
From ticket sales.
And so how many unique visitors do you have per month on this website?
That's a good question. I'm not really that much involved in it. I don't know. I would say probably on an average day, it's somewhere 5 to 10K a day. Yeah. On a fight weekend, it's like 50, 60, 70K a day, really depending on how popular the fight is. I mean, the Klitschko's, David Hay is one that always attracts a lot of attention. And, since it's in the German-speaking market, the Klitschko's are pretty big over there. We have some local sort of celebrities when they fight. You can feel the impact.
Yeah. Very cool. Any other little businesses like this that produce a profit that aren't necessarily listed on teaminternet.de?
Not really much, I would say. I mean, there are probably some legacy projects that still run out somewhere around there. I mean, we've done a lot of trial and error, whatever was profitable and could sort of runs on autopilot. Yeah. But I still occasionally, get that paycheck from some company that apparently I've been promoting for the past 10 years. I didn't even know about it.
Right.
When I started out in domain names, I was like 18 years old. So I started out from my kids' room at my parents' place. And back then, the only thing you could promote pretty much was adult. Like any visitor you had, you would send to some adult affiliate program. And I still remember, like years after I moved out, I got a call from my mom, and she was, we got a letter from this company. I opened it. There was a check for $1,500 in there, and there were a lot of flyers with pictures of naked girls. What should I do? I was like, keep the check and throw away the rest.
I thought you were going to say, keep the check and forward me the rest.
Exactly. That's what happened.
Yeah, nice. All right, so let's talk about your recent acquisition. So I noticed on your website you have made a recent acquisition that you mentioned earlier. You purchased elephanttraffic.com from Jan Barta, or his company. What was actually purchased? What was the deal that you did?
So basically, I mean, the parent company was Elephant Orchestra, which is a company that I think Jan and some investors founded initially. Elephant Traffic was, their main product for publishers and advertisers. And I think they started Elephant Traffic, and I don't really know too much of the details. I think they started it like 5 or 6 years ago. It has been a pretty good business for them, but some of the other business under the Elephant Orchestra umbrella have simply outgrown the success of Elephant Traffic. I know they have a very successful lead generation business, especially in the Czech market. I think they are like one of the biggest lead generators over there. So for them, I think it was mainly, where do we concentrate our resources on, where do we focus on, and some of their other assets had simply outgrown Elephant Traffic. We had been partnering with them on, some of their traffic for quite some time. So they were just looking to, focus on some of the other activities and actually use, a lot of the people from the Elephant Traffic team for their other activities. Mm-hmm. So what we finally acquired was the customer base and the brand. We didn't need the technology because we have our own technology at Parking Crew on the publisher side, mm-hmm. at DNTX on the advertiser side. Operation-wise, they needed some of the people for their other operations. For us, it would have been quite a bit of a hassle to, operate a company in Prague, while we are based out of Munich. I mean, it's Europe, but it's still like a 6-hour drive, so it's not that easy to keep track of it. So we finally settled on acquiring the customer base and the brand name.
Great. And so if I was a customer at Elephant Traffic buying traffic from on keyword phrases that were actually coming through domain names, then arriving at my site, what was my experience after the acquisition?
So basically, the transition is ongoing. I mean, it's very, very fresh. A lot of the emails just went out the past couple of days. Mm-hmm. Basically, there are two sort of scenarios right now. You've been an advertiser at Elephant Traffic and you haven't really spent money recently. You don't have any balance there. So you got an email that you can sign up on DNTX. We're going to you can buy the traffic from DNTX. We have more volume. We have more targeting options. So it's going to be a better experience for you. And then the final pieces of transitions that are happening right now is where people actually have a balance left at Elephant Traffic. The timeline right now is I think Elephant Traffic is or has paused the last couple of campaigns today. They are sending out the final balances that advertisers have left at Elephant Traffic to us in the upcoming days, because right now they're giving advertisers the option to claim that balance, so they get a refund for the balance. Anything advertisers don't claim is going to be transferred over to their DNTX system. So all the advertiser has to do is sign up on our system, let us know, the username. They have a link that's going to help us to associate their Elephant Traffic username to their DNTX username. We're going to put the balance that they had at Elephant Traffic into the system. They can continue spending it from there. If they don't like our system, they can demand a refund. We will refund it. So far it's gone very smoothly. We hope it's going to be a smooth experience for any customer.
Yeah, great. So of the 10,000 advertisers that Elephant Traffic had, it sounds like you might actually lose some that won't come over to your system. How do you value, when you're looking at an acquisition like this, how do you value those potential customers? Is the acquisition ongoing for every actual customer that you get to sign up and every balance that transfers over, or is it just a flat fee at one time and they agree to promote and try and get as many customers over?
I can't really talk too much about the details because, as with many contracts, there's an NDA involved. So for us, I can talk about how we valued the business and, what are the main pieces that we thought are of value. Obviously, the advertiser base is of value to us because it's a great lead list that we can follow up on, try to get active on our platform. But I think the main learning we had during our launch at Affiliate Summit East in New York, where there were more than 5,000 affiliates present, and we had a booth and we were talking to the people, and we explained to them the system, and every second was, oh, so you're sort of like Elephant Traffic. Yeah, we're sort of like Elephant Traffic. And I think the next show we go to, we can simply be like, this is what Elephant Traffic is nowadays. It's much easier for us. I think Elephant has done a tremendous job in educating the advertisers out there about the quality of direct navigation traffic, about what it is, about what sort of products you can promote, what works, what doesn't work. So for us, it's really the brand that's going to make entry into the market much, much easier for us.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here's the final question for you, Nico.
Sure.
We've got thousands of new GTLDs that are going to be launched over the upcoming years. What are you doing to position your companies at teaminternet.de to be able to take advantage of all those opportunities as soon as they're presented?
There are a couple of aspects. Team Internet, from its products, historically is in the traffic monetization business. I've been around when .info.biz was launched. I've been around when some of the other TIDs was launched. And speaking from my experience, those TIDs don't usually have a lot of traffic from the start because, there have been probably trillions of dollars spent on promoting.com, on TV ads, on flyers, on whatever. So initially, I don't expect too much traffic to come from those TIDs, which is going to change as soon as some of those domains are developed, some are dropped, you're going to have expiring traffic on them. So what we're going to do to position ourselves is we're going to make sure that all of our products support every single of those TIDs. So, you can enter a, let's say, .shoes into the system or a .cars, .insurance, whatever, that we can monetize any visitor they have from the beginning. But as a company, we're not going to invest into operating one of those GTIDs, which I think there are people more qualified to do it. Michael Birkins is operating with Monte Carlo in that market. I think there are, two people I have the greatest of respect for. Then Shelf and Frakes, who started Minds and Machines, I think, some time ago. There are a lot of people that, have been doing that every single day. So they're much more qualified to operate something in that market. So we will steer out of running a registry there.
All right. So you're going to be you're going to be ready to add new GTLDs to your system and be able to take advantage of them and support your customers as soon as the new GTLDs are out. That's how you're going to innovate.
Exactly. I mean, we have always made sure, like some people recently told us that apparently we are the only parking company that supports IDN domains. So if the TLD is an IDN, like I think it's the case for some Russian things, apparently we were the only ones that were correctly displaying it, correctly delivering ads. I mean, if there's a visitor out there, we want to make sure it gets monetized to the fullest, which has always been, one of our maxims at parkingcrew.com, that no matter where the visitor comes from, even if it's from an outdated mobile device on a .idn domain from Kazakhstan, we want to monetize the maximum out of that visitor because it's revenue in the end. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do to position ourselves in that market.
Sounds great. If the audience has questions for you, Nico, I want to ask them to post them below this video interview, and then I'll ask you to come back and answer as many as you can. You are on Twitter at Parking Crew. Is that correct, Nico?
Yeah, that's our Twitter, exactly.
Okay, so if somebody wants to stay up to date on what Parking Crew is doing, go to Twitter, go to twitter.com/parkingcrew and fan them, and then you can fan them, like them. What is it? It's follow them, I guess. Follow you guys, and then you can get updates in your Twitter stream, which is what I do a lot on Domain Sherpa. Also, if people want to email you directly, Nico, they have some questions that maybe they don't want to put in because they want to cite some domains. Can they email you directly?
Sure, they can most definitely do so. I mean, in terms of Twitter, I think we're more active on Facebook. So if they want to follow us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/parkingcrew, I think. They can email me directly at nico@teaminternet.de. I'll be on vacation starting on Friday, so my response time in the upcoming 2 weeks might be a bit low.
No worries. I think we actually have a little bit of a cache of interviews, so this will probably go live after your vacation. 2 weeks? That's nothing for you guys in Europe. Come on. It's usually like a month vacation, isn't it?
I'm already scared. There's so much stuff going on. I don't even want to leave the office. So.
Where are you going on vacation?
Argentina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. And if you seem like a great guy, Nico. If people want to meet you in person, interact with you, hear more stories about how you used to deal in adult domains and traffic, are you going to be attending WebFest in February in Santa Monica or the Traffic Las Vegas conference in May?
I will be at WebFest for sure. As a fact, I've already booked my tickets, so I will be there. Vegas, I probably won't be. We will probably be sending some of our other guys there because it's always a bit of a trade-off. Like if you go to a show, you have a lot of time to interact with people to get direct feedback, but at the same time, you cannot focus on your product at home. So I'm trying to sort of cut a bit down on traveling and only visit like 1 or 2 of the main shows a year, but I will be at WebFest.
Excellent. I will be at WebFest too. I love Santa Monica. I grew up down in the LA area, so come to WebFest and you can meet Nico there in person. Nico, I'm gonna try and get your last name in here again, Nico. Nico Zeifang. How'd I do?
Perfect.
Hey, CEO of teaminternet.de, parkingcrew.com, dntx.com. Thank you for coming on the show, sharing your knowledge about domain name parking and monetization. And thanks for being a Domain Sherpa.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.